Happy Saturday, everyone. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. All right, this video from Dave Ramsey is actually 9 years old. But as we know, we can learn anything at any time from any money video. So we're going to learn about should we, and this is what he says here, should you dump someone with debt? Again, it doesn't matter that this is 9 years old because clearly it was pre-pandemic, but with all the things going on in the world now, I'm sure it is more relevant than ever. Let's hit it. And thank you so much for joining me.
Starting this hour off is Andrew. Hi, Andrew. Welcome
Hi,
to the Dave
Andrew.
Ramsey Show.
Dave, thanks so much for having me today. I appreciate it.
Sure. What's up?
So, been a follower of your methods for quite some time. Paid off about $30,000 in debt nearly 7 years ago, following beans and rice and beans. Been on a budget ever since. Haven't been so wise in financing my money. I've got about $41,000 sitting in the bank, but that's another call for another day. The reason I'm calling today was my girlfriend and I, about 4 months ago, had to take a position in New York City, and she is from a different part of the country, and I basically said, if we're going to make this sort of work and last, we've got to, if we're apart, it's not going to work. You got to come with me or it's just not going to happen. So we moved in together back in January, and she's been on board with budget. She's actually taken your class many years ago, and unfortunately my occupation will require me to take off for another couple of months here. And so the other day we're sitting down going over our budget together, and we've combined our budget from the very beginning.
Well, that's a good thing. So far, they're doing it the Ramsey way. She's had a Ramsey class. They're combining budget. All right. It sounds like he's not afraid of commitment. He's saying, "Hey, come with me."
She makes about $35,000 a year. I make 48, and
Now, if they're going to New York, that's not going to be much money in New York.
she had alluded to in the past that she had some debt sort of looming. Was very, very apprehensive about talking about it because a previous relationship ended when she apprised her partner of the fact that she had this debt, and so it
Okay, now I gotta stop here for a minute. So she has some debt apparently. She alluded, she hinted to her prior partner that she had this debt. My question is, without knowing the debt amount, if I think he said they've already kind of been working on their debt together, she's been to financial peace, then how come she has to keep alluding? Why can't she just say, I have fill in the blank amount of debt? I mean, I can understand her apprehension. The last person, broke up with me because of this. Now then, if he knew that, I don't know how long he's known that, but I'm assuming that, okay, he's been dating her for a while. Hopefully he's already known that, she expresses to him, hey, the last guy he left when he found out the debt. That would be a sign for him to do what? Hey, how much debt do you have? All right, that would be a question. Because he says they've been combining their finances, but if she's not been forthcoming with what her debt is, okay, car, house, student loan, whatever, okay, if she's not been forthcoming with it, then yeah, they may been, sort of playing house together with their debt, but they're really not playing house. And if he's getting to the point where he's ready to move and ready to take her with him, I would imagine he should have already known how much the debt was.
it sort of we just built some trust, and it came out the other day, and I learned that she has $113,000 in student loan debt. And this is in addition to some debt that I was already aware of, $13,000 for a car note, and an additional $11,000 for another student loan. As I mentioned,
Look, everybody stop. Okay, getting ready to go to the gym this afternoon, but I gotta get my heavy lifting in with looking at watching these videos for debt, folks. There's when it comes to telling somebody how much debt you have, I can understand. I have excuse me, I have 13,000 for a car note. I think he said 11,000 for like some other student loan debt. Okay, I can understand that. I can totally understand that. Okay. I could even understand forgetting a small bill. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I have this $3,000 here. Nobody forgets that they have 100. What was he said? 10, 13. Nobody forgets that they have 100 grand in student loan debt. Nobody just forgets that. I never forgot it a day of my waking and sleeping moment that I had 110,000. Nobody forgets. The fact that he just found this out, there's kind of fault that I see on both sides. She should have clearly stated what it was, so he could decide if he still wanted to make the investment in the relationship. And he had responsibility to clearly state to her exactly what debt do you have that chased somebody off. I want to know. All right? So they're both responsible. Because if he's been dating her this long to the point that he's like, hey, I want to keep a relationship with you. I want to move forward with you. Move with me. Okay. And you've already started kind of combining your budgets together. Then he shouldn't have had cold feet. It sounds like they each really like each other. And each one was afraid to tell the other one, I'm afraid to tell you just how much debt I have because you might dump me. And I'm afraid to find out how much debt you have because you're going to kill my dream that you might not be the perfect woman after all.
She makes 35 a year. I make 48, and it was
okay. So now keep in mind this is 9 years ago. Okay, so 110,000. But I can tell you from my own experience. Okay, even 9 years ago I was making a little bit more than what she was, and I couldn't pay off my 110,000. It wasn't enough. All right, it just wasn't enough. These unlike what you'll hear oftentimes on the Ramsey show. Which I all do respect, but these are not as easy to pay off in 3-4 years as people think. If these debts were that easy to pay off, we wouldn't have $1 trillion plus in student loan backing up in the U.S. government.
Well, it was. I'm accustomed to paying off debt. I'm accustomed to living under my means or not beyond my means, but $136,000 is a very, very large sum, and so I'm looking for some advice personally, and I'm also looking for some advice for her.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, advice personally, you should have found this out early on, because it sounds like he knew. It sounds like he knew she had debt, but he wasn't forthcoming, saying, "I need to know what this is." Without knowing exactly what the debt is, I cannot continue dating you. So he is partly responsible for this. I think she has the greater responsibility, okay? But if he knew that, when a guy goes running for the hills, okay, not even so much the woman, when the guy goes running for the hills, all right, just the social makeup of society, man takes care of woman. Yeah, okay, I know it doesn't always work out that way, but you get what I'm saying, all right? When a guy goes running for the hills, there's something wrong, really wrong.
It's clearly affected her, and my heart is telling me, this is a girl that I could spend the rest of my life with, and the logical part of my brain is saying, Justin, this is a lot to wade into, particularly considering that so many marriages end in failure because of financial reasons. So,
and it's also part of the reason they don't say anything. I think the person with the debt is hoping, there's a hope that he'll fall in love with me and come to accept the debt. Whereas if I tell him about the debt before he or she has a chance to fall in love with me, they'll go running to the hills. Now then, I've watched enough Ramsey videos in the last few months. I've been a reaction channel for about all of 2 months now, okay? I've watched enough videos to know that Ramsey's probably, I'm just going to predict, he's going to say something like this about, don't combine your finances together. I'm going to say how much of this I'm right. Okay, don't combine your finances together totally till you're married. If you combine your incomes, go on a diet of beans and rice. You guys need to get a bigger shovel, make more money. But I suspect he's going to say, go ahead and move with the relationship. And the only reason I also say that is I've done other videos with Ramsey, and the woman's had 3 times the debt. And he's like, please, go ahead, marry her. My advice, he should go with his gut hunch and what he thinks is most right.
I figured I'd give you a call. It's been the 3rd time I've hit psychology. It's been about 7 years since I have. So the last one was a debt-free call, and now I'm coming back.
I'm going to speed this up to 1.25. I sometimes forget to speed these up. Let me see. Hold on. Everybody just hold on just for a second. I just forget to speed it up. Some calls I can't speed it up. Other calls I can. I think this one I can. All right, here we go.
Okay. Well, how old are you guys?
I'm 33 and she's 28.
Okay. All right. Well, to start with, let's lay some baselines. If you're not married to someone, you're not married to them. And so you're not responsible for their debt, and you should not be combining finances and paying off debt.
Ding, 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 ding. I got one right. Yay. All right, let's snaps. All right. Let's keep playing here. Okay. If you've watched me enough, you know these sorts of things. I just love it when Ramsey and I match. All right. Keep on going, folks. Let's keep on going.
With someone you're not married to.
Sure, I understand.
That's going to end poorly. And so you're trying to play house and you're not married and it doesn't work.
Woohoo! There's an asset house. We are too. All right, let's. Oh, I don't even have my beverage. I have no beverage. Oh my goodness. All right, let's keep going.
Sets you up for all kinds of relational and legal problems later on, and it creates a bind because if you begin to pay off this debt for someone you're not married to, her debt, then that does start to put a strain on the relationship. Now, let's fast forward.
And you'd have a hard time suing her if the relationship doesn't work out to get the money back, because she could say it was a what? A gift.
And take that off the table for a minute and pretend that you guys decided to get married, and you were married, or you wanted to consider marriage, given this set of facts. Now, if you were to marry into this, then the question is, or should you marry into this? I think someone that's willing to sacrifice to pay off the debt, and willing to live on beans and rice, and willing to work hand in glove with their spouse, is marriage material. If you're in love, and so I would not say
three
to abandon a relationship based on the fact that she's got debt. I would have.
Hold on, you guys. Okay, I'm sorry. I just have to take this moment because I'm like, that tells you I'm really paying attention to what Ramsey says. I really pay attention. Oh, the simple pleasures of life.
Abandon it in a heartbeat if she's not serious about getting rid of the debt. And she's not willing to sacrifice, and not willing to say, well, I have to have my nails done. I gotta have cable, and I've got $118,000 in debt, and I make $35,000 a year.
Right.
This chick is known as clueless, and you're gonna have a long life if you're married to her. If that's,
I can tell you, Dave. I'll tell you, we've been on a budget from the day one, even since before she came here with me.
Yeah.
They really haven't been on a budget, though. They say they've been on a budget. You can't be on a budget, in my opinion, if you are not forthright, upcoming, and truthful about what you actually have in debt. So he says, we've been on a budget. No, you have not. You've lived your life, at least with her. Okay, and he says we've, only because from what I understand, they've already partially combined their finances, okay? Because as we know, Dave does not want finances combined until you're married. And I get it, all right? But they have. So assuming that they already have taken steps to combine their finances, it's not been a real honest accounting. I mean, come on, folks, $100,000, okay? You don't accidentally leave it out. That's like saying you have 2 kids when you really have 4, okay?
I said we're going to be on a budget, and we've lived in New York City very, very meagerly.
Yeah, you have to live on what you're making, much less.
Precisely. Yeah,
and so
I hope 9 years later they're making more.
Completely on board with that.
Okay. I think if you all are willing to fight, if you're willing to fight together and willing to sacrifice together, then you could start paying on this debt after you're married, and I would be just fine with it. I personally would not abandon a relationship based on the fact that somebody screwed up and went into debt.
And that is why they don't tell you about the debt till after you have fallen in love with them. Let's think about that. I said that. Did I not say that? Because if you run from me before you've had a chance to find out just how wonderful I am or someone else is, the hope is that you will take the time to get to know them, and then you'd be willing to do that sacrifice. Whereas if he had just met her and she says, hey, I have $130,000 in debt, $100,000 of it, which is student loan, and I make $35,000 a year, would you stick around? Probably not.
I would abandon it if they're not willing to do what it takes to get out of the debt.
Even with the length, I mean, we're looking at like 2027, according to your
all
calculator.
you did there was a linear calculation. You did not include the fact that your incomes might go up.
Sure.
Or that you might move to another area of the country and your expenses go down.
That's a good point as well.
And so there's,
That's a hell of a lot of debt, though. That is. It's a lot. Okay, I held $110,000 debt, and I was making in the 50s, and I could barely make it. That's a lot of debt.
I can tell you this about your life. It's going to change.
Yeah, right.
That was insightful, wasn't it? So, so the point is, Sharon and I have faced things that we didn't even know existed since we've been married.
Yeah.
And so you're going to do the same thing, good and bad, opportunities and
Yeah.
blessings, curses and challenges that you didn't even see coming.
Which is why she did not tell you about the debt. Sometimes it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission.
Do you have an encouraging word for her? I mean, at this point, she's pretty distraught by the fact she let me know, listen, this is all.
I think the first encouraging word that you can give her is that this doesn't cost her this relationship.
Okay.
And I think that's going to, she's already lost one over this.
Yeah.
And I think she's going to be dramatically encouraged that she has a teammate that's willing to stick with her and fight this forward. But, you're kind of standing with one foot on your boat and one on the dock, though, dude, as long as you're not married.
No, you're absolutely right.
So you got to think that through from a practical standpoint. I mean, obviously, as a Christian, there's a spiritual angle on that for me as well. But you've got to decide that from a practical and a legal standpoint, it just doesn't work well playing house. Very few people pull it off. I've tried to counsel people that are...
All right. I sometimes cut it off towards the end when I think the main gist of the video is done. And the main gist of the video is done. So this video, like I said, it took place 9 years ago. But the topic of the video about staying with someone with debt, should you stay, as it says here, should you dump someone with debt, it's a case-by-case basis. I don't think there is a single standard rule. I would not dump, so to speak, somebody because they had debt. I would not, even though I'm debt free, I would not do that. But it's a case-by-case basis, and there would be a whole lot of things that would have had to have taken place over time for me to feel that way. And I would expect the same if somebody had known that I had $100,000 in student loan debt. Okay. In fact, I can tell you, one person did know that I had it, and I would not blame someone if they said, this is something I don't wish to take on. This is a bigger debt, I think, than he probably realizes. But anyway, so whether you stay or whether you go, always remember this. It's my opinion. If someone is not forthcoming, and that's where my concern would be, you didn't tell me till the very last minute. Doesn't mean you talk about debt on the first night or even the first, several months. But once you start, playing house, married or not, before you pull out the Barbie and Ken dolls, you might want to ask Barbie, what life looks like to her and what life looks like to him, and figure out your debt before you combine. If they really did go through with this, I would consider her very lucky. But I don't want my relationships personally based on luck. I want it based much more on, hey, I know, we're all good. Okay. So anyways, folks, it's time. Sometimes I forget the mouse is here, and so it hangs out in the middle of the screen. Anyways, folks, it's time for me to hit the gym. So happy Saturday afternoon to you. I will get this uploaded today. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. I'd like to thank you so much for joining me. I do hope you will consider subscribing, and you have a great rest of the day. Bye.